History is clear. Europeans did not need to chase Africans through the jungles or the bush. They pulled up to the shorelines and they purchased their human cargo directly from African kings and warlords. Because, see, you had powerful African rulers from the kingdom of Dahomey, now known as Benin, and the Ashanti Empire, now known as Ghana, and the Congo Kingdom. And they actively participated in the slave trade and they profited from it enormously. The Atlantic slave trade lasted from 1501 to 1867 on the books. But see, here's the cold part. That wasn't even the beginning of the African slave trade. Something that's rarely talked about is the sub-Saharan or the Saharan slave trade. And it predated the African, the Atlantic slave trade by centuries, proving that Africans have been selling other Africans into slavery for thousands of years before the first European arrived. Look, man, let's be clear about something. This wasn't just a war of spoils or prisoners of war being sold off as a side business. This was a for-profit industry, a full-fledged enterprise. And African kingdoms waged war specifically to capture more people to sell. Entire communities were raided and enslaved just to fuel the business of human trafficking. Yet, when modern African governments are confronted about their role, they respond with these weak apologies and excuses. They say those were different kingdoms, not our modern governments. Yet the same descendants of those kings still exist, and those same people call themselves by those same tribes. Shout out to Drake. And many of those same African nations continue to honor their former slave trading rulers with statues and museums. And what's worse, they refuse to offer reparations to Black Americans, to foundational Black Americans. They refuse to even offer us our automatic citizenship that was stolen from us. The very descendants of the very people they sold away. They want us to get in line. Instead, they want to tell us, well, we weren't selling our own people. Think about that. When we say you sold your brothers and sisters into slavery, they said, well, you know, technically we were from different tribes, so we weren't selling our own people. We saw them as members of different tribes. Shout out to Big She 313. Am I, you know, really? Really? You weren't selling your own people? Oh, okay. Well, let's follow that logic. Let's follow that logic to its natural conclusion. If you didn't see us as your own people then don't try to claim us now. We saw them as members of different tribes. Shout out to Big She 313. Am I, you know, really? Really? You weren't selling your own people? Oh, okay. Well, let's follow that logic. Let's follow that logic to its natural conclusion. If you didn't see us as your own people then don't try to claim us now. You know, us Akatas, don't claim us now. Okay? You can't deny us as brothers and sisters when it suits you, but then suddenly demand solidarity when you're facing deportation. You can't have it both ways. We're not having that. And let me tell you something. Africans knew exactly what kind of slavery they were selling us into. Because, see, that's another excuse that I hear. Shout out to my man, Alonzo Dunn. Africans didn't know. Africans didn't know how brutal slavery was in America. That's just another outright lie. The Africans were enslaved in Brazil, and some of them gained their freedom, and they returned to Africa. And they themselves became slave traders, and that was something that happened on the north and the southern and the Caribbean slave trade. If they had no idea what was happening in the New World, why would they come back and then join the business? See, for 500 years, from 1501 to 1860, well, not quite 500 years, but it went beyond that, okay? Nevertheless, millions of Black men and millions of Black women and millions of Black children were shipped across the Atlantic. Do you really think with all these back and forth trips? Do you really think, I mean, they had over 30,000 trips. Do you really think word never got back as much as black folk like to talk? Do you really believe not a single African merchant or sailor or returning freedman reported on the horrific atrocities being committed and what they've seen and what they've gone? Does your common sense allow you to believe that? Because see, the reality is clear. Africans were being worked to death in the Americas. They were on sugar plantations in the Caribbean and in Brazil, and the average lifespan for an enslaved African was 1 to 2 years. And instead of feeding and housing them properly, the enslavers simply bought new captives and replaced them when the other ones died. The turnover rate was astronomical. And we can look at the story of Clotilda. I talked about that here. The story of the Clotilda. That was the last known ship to illegally bring enslaved Africans to the United States. That was decades after the transatlantic slave trade was officially outlawed in 1807. And in 1960, that grandma that I was telling y'all about, she was alive then. She died in 1865, right before she saw her first day of freedom. She died. 1865. That's when my great grandmother Liza died. So she was alive. But nevertheless, in 1880, Timothy Mayer, he was a wealthy ship owner, and he financed a voyage. He was from New Orleans, by the way. He financed a voyage and sent a gentleman named Captain William Foster. I want you to know this history because there's a lot of people on here that, oh no, we weren't shipped. That's just that we weren't shipped over. Lies. His name is Captain William Foster, and he purchased a slave ship called the Whyda, Whyda. Okay, and he took that. He purchased slaves in Whyda, Whyda, which is modern day Benin. And what did he do when he got there? He met with the African royalty. He had to get off the ship, and they struck a deal. And he paid $100 per person for 125 slaves, men and women, who had been captured in the kingdom of Dahomey during a raid. These people were branded. They were packed into a ship they designed for lumber transports, and they were barely able to move. And when he returned to Alabama, knowing he was breaking the federal law, he burned and sank the Clotilda and destroyed the evidence. This was not ancient history. This was 1860. The Civil War had not even started, yet Africans were still being sold to the highest bidder. So let's not forget when Mr. Mayer and Foster were put on trial, the case was dismissed. You can look it up right now. Even then, America protected its criminals. They changed the law, just like they did in Red Summer in 1919, just like they did in Tulsa in 1921, just like they did during Jim Crow. Nobody went to jail. Now, the cold thing about the Clotilda trip is that the captain had to get off the ship and talk to the king and ask permission. And when he got there, he said there were over 4,000 slaves still in the pen, still pinned up. All he got was 125. Where did the rest of them go? For $100. Now, after all this history, after all these betrayals, after generations of silence, we are being told that we should step up and fight for Africans being deported from the U.S., that we should stand arm to arm because suddenly we are all one people? No. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy you had before. Keep that same attitude you had when you said we're not the same people. Because, see, the truth is when FBAs fight for our own reparations, our own recognition, our own justice, y'all are silent. Many of y'all speak against it. Look at all these foreigners on here who say foundational Black Americans shouldn't get reparations. Shout out to my man, Big Sheep. They always pop up and say that. We wouldn't need them if y'all hadn't commit one of the greatest atrocities atrocities that humanity has ever seen. You were instrumental in the slave trade. What's up? Welcome to the broadcast. This is Uncle D. People wash their ass in the tub, Kamala Harris.
You would tune in to Uncle D. This black man talk. Pull up, homie, take a seat. Don't be a shadow watcher every day. You learn something, then you earn something. Let them know and drop some money in the plate. It's getting cold, ladies, talking ratchet. There's a king here, grab your coat, zip your jacket. Keep quiet for a second, close your jaw. Attorney Spurling, this ain't pearly, know the law. Talking Constitution, pushing pins when he shootin', give him that. Masculinity, just for the record, sprinkle that. You can keep your cat, gotta cut it. Only cat he rubbing, gotta love it. I call it Molly Buddy. Gotta vote your interest, voting earns. Presidential, this is for the money that I earn. When you gon' learn, my people, that evil mixed with evil. No matter what you're doing, baby, this ain't equal. Sometimes when you're special, you get hated. The test is for the best, you're damn right, my people made it. Uncle D, Blizzard King, you been served, gotta notice. Now black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now. Uncle D, you been served, get your notice now. Black men out here know we winning, gotta hold it now.
Hey man, I'll do what I do.
Somebody need to whip your ass.
Get up and whip him, Sweets.
Hey, don't be putting the money in my hand all rough.
Take your ass out here. You buy you a Flowbee and cut your own damn hair from now on.